Welcome back to the podcast, guys. This episode has me pumped up because we are going to be talking about stretching your daily income, because the fastest way to grow is to stretch what feels normal inside of your business. So as we talk about this, I'm going to be sharing not just ways to stretch your income in your business, but also ways to stretch how you are living your life around your business. And I had a thought about this that came up as Lorna and I were looking to buy a car this past weekend. Actually, we ended up buying it. We're going to be picking it up tomorrow, which is really exciting for us. So make sure you check that out on Instagram. But going back to the car, like most things Lorna and I purchase, we're not really fans of paying interest and payment plans. So I went over to the bank to withdraw money to buy the vehicle in full. I got myself a certified check. I moved a bunch of money around for our rental and investment that we're doing while I was there. And then I just sat down in the car tallying up the numbers from all of the receipts. And as I'm looking at these numbers going in and going out, that's when it hit me. I'm looking at these numbers realizing, holy shit, the Andrew of 5 years ago would have never been able to do something like this. Andrew of 5 years ago was worried about where the next client was going to come from. He was thinking, how am I going to get from this month to next month inside of my business? He was concerned with how he was going to make payroll for his team, or if he could afford to hire another person. I remember he was trying to save up for his first home, and he was working his butt off to buy an engagement ring for his future wife. Back then, I wouldn't have had time to even look at a car, let alone be able to drop the money to pay it off in full. Now, here I am, I'm sitting in the car, and I'm looking at this check that was the size of a full month's income back then. Looking at the amount of money, and even looking at the amount of money that I moved around to pay for a second investment, and it feels normal to me. Like these numbers in this life is just the way that I have always lived. But that's not true. I had to stretch to be able to get there to make this feel like a new normal. And as business owners, we set new norms all the time. There's new norms on how much we spend on our businesses. We change how much we invest in ourselves for coaching. We increase how many clients we take on month after month or year after year. And some of us even do things like choose to grow the size of our team because we have this envisionment of a dream of what our business would look like, and we want to keep moving towards that vision. And that vision grows as we grow. Now, as that vision comes true, there's also going to be new norms around how much time you want to invest and at what level of involvement you still want to be inside of your business. Because as your life grows, you may want to be more with your kids and with your partner. Being CEOs of our life means that we make new normals everywhere, even with the challenges of also juggling your personal life and your business at the same time. Right? As we grow, so do the level of our challenges. There's going to be different norms around stress and bills with more growth. We're going to have more headaches with a bigger team, and you're going to find that maybe your capacity mentally and emotionally is going to be tested as you start taking on multiple projects or building a whole new level of business. And all of this, I would say, is good. It's actually like really good. I'd say, hell, it's great. It's great to be in this position. The reason why I share this, because here's the question. The question is, how long through all of this change in norm, how long does it take you for you to create, define, and then set a new normal within your business or your life? And that's a very important question. Now, when I look back at my life for this episode, and I had written down a couple of points here, I was making about $400K per year with our facility. I was completely overwhelmed. I was working more than 80 plus hours a week and had one-on-one clients back to back from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. I worked almost every weekend, and my business could not operate without me. If for any reason, like if a coach couldn't make it in, or if some reason the facility had an issue, I had to drop everything and I had to immediately rush there to take care of the problem. My normal in that moment was me accepting that I would always be a part of the sessions. I'd always be the one working with clients, and I would be the one attached to everything. For me, I thought that the only way that I could scale past making $30,000 to $35,000 per month was that I had to work even more hours, and that I would have to hire a marketing team and have teams of 30 or 40 people to put out the amount of content and volume that I'm doing right now. For me in that moment, it was normal for me to take 6 months to make a decision about hiring someone for my team. It was normal for me to spend 3+ months putting together a program before I launched it and sold it and filled it with clients. I'd spend 3 hours on emails a day because that's just what I thought people did. But here's what changed my mind and gave me my first stretch moment. Maybe you've had a first stretch moment. 5 years ago, I worked with my very first big mentor. It was Alex Hermosi. I worked with his team when we had the studio. And as I worked with him, I saw how fast he acted on decisions in his business. I saw how quickly he moved and created and promoted new programs and put out new offers. I also saw how fast he abandoned things that didn't work, and he would cut them off right at the source so he could refocus on what did. Now, when I saw this at first, what came up for me was like, how? How can you move this fast? How can you get this much done with less time and still continue to grow and make no mistakes? And you're going to have these questions come up if you are looking at what is going on in your life and your business right now with this same mindset of where you are. Right now, you only know how to sustain where you are. So if you're looking at this, saying to yourself the way I was, like, how do we do this? And you're saying, well, I want to be able to keep exactly where I am at right now, then you're trying to use the same mindset you have now to show you how to get a different result that is better than what you have now. In order to stretch, to make money and serve more clients and save more of our time, we have to stretch the way we think. We can't be thinking the way we are now. And I realized that about 2 weeks into working with him, that I could stretch and expand myself way further than I ever had before. But I had to start asking stretch questions of myself. I had to start acting and operating like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, not the practitioner or the coach who was still working inside of the business, trading one-on-one hours for time. That's when I started asking bigger questions. What if I could make what I do in a month in 1 day? What if I could coach the same amount of people I do in a week in one call? What if I could travel the amount I did in 1 year, but just in the first quarter? What if I could get a client that stays for 4 months, but get them to keep buying for 4 to 5 years? When you start asking those questions, now you are shown a completely different set of actions and given higher level opportunities to show up as a CEO for your business. Now, we can also ask these questions about our life around our business also. What if you could take the same monthly date night and have it weekly with your partner without your business breaking? What if you could be there not just for the important kids events, but be there for every practice, every game, and be the parents who actually get to build a relationship with their kids and still have a fire business that is growing 30% month over month? What if you could take the 1 hour workout that you have carved for yourself every single day and you could create a space where 3 hours a day is completely yours for things like hobbies, friends, to do whatever the hell you want it to do? Now, you're shown a completely different set of standards for the way that you have to live your life when you start thinking that way. So when I ask myself those questions, I start thinking about the boundaries that I've set. I start thinking about the start time and the finish times that I have. I start thinking about how long it takes me to make a choice, or what am I choosing to spend my time on? As an example, am I going to hire someone to cook weekly and clean the house because maybe I want that time back? Am I going to hire someone to do the marketing? Am I going to bring on more teammates because it's going to take back my time and my business and I can be the CEO? This is how you become the CEO of your life. But to become the CEO, we have to stretch ourselves. And that means we have to stretch what we think is possible with our daily income. And I want you to focus on daily income, what you are making daily. Because money is how we invest. Money is how we buy back our time. Money is how we provide a better quality service and deliver the best for our teammates. Money is how we travel. It's also how we design a life around what we want to do outside of our business. So this is where we set a new desire and we set a new level of stretch for us financially. Now, stretch, forget going from 30K months to 50K months. I want you to think 30K months to 100K months. I say that because when we think to ourselves, oh, I have to be realistic, that's what's coming in your mind. What we are doing is we are keeping the same mindset we have now, and we're trying to just put more effort into getting to reach that new number. So as an example of that 30K to 50K, you can try to logic it out and say, well, if I charge 20% more with my price, and then I trade another 10 hours a week of my time, and then I can make an extra 10K, and I just have to do that twice. Yeah, maybe you can work extra hard to go from 30 to 50, but that's actually not expanding. If you do it that way, you're not going to feel excited about it because it's attached to doing more time, more effort, more difficulty, more sacrifice. That's not how we grow our business. That's not how we develop as a CEO. And that's not how we get to the next level inside of our business. Stretching is not about hustle. It's about aligning yourself with higher level behavior. We have to operate, think, and behave like a totally new person. So set a daily income goal that will both get you excited, but also push you to grow. We have to be able to look at that number and say to ourselves, holy shit, I want this. I want this, and I want the life that comes with it. And if you're looking at that number and you have a lot of uncertainty behind it and you're scared of it and you're like, well, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Yeah, that's totally normal. Do what I did. Work with and hire the coach that has already done that number. Work with and hire the coach that has already done that thing. When coaches and practitioners are working with me one-on-one, they use me as the evidence and the roadmap that they are looking for. And they do that because they want to help accept and grow into that number. Sometimes you need to be shown that it is possible for you to make that much money, that it's possible for you to build that business that way in order for you to sky shot into the next big growth spurt in your business. And I'll never forget this as an example. I used to rock climb 3 to 4 times a week when I had the studio. And I remember that there was a challenging, for those of you who are familiar with rock climbing, there's bouldering, which is free climb. There was a challenging bouldering route at the gym I used to go to that I just could not get. I knew how to get it started. I knew how to climb about 2/3 of the way, and then I always fell off and couldn't make it past the same handhold every time. Every single time I fell and I collapsed in the same place. And with no one around to show me, I kept trying the same 5 things, thinking that I had to power through it, that I had to take more rest time, that I had to just, become stronger or get more energy to be able to make it through. But guess what? That's not what got me through. That's not what got me past that hold. What got me past was asking the guy who worked at the front, who owned the facility, to show me. He walked right up to the wall and he did it one time. The moment I saw what he did, the moment I saw the way he positioned his hand and then threw his foot in a different way, it blew my mind how simple and easy it could be. And then right after him, not even 10 seconds after, I hopped on the wall and I completed the climb right in front of him. That's what happens every day with the coaches I work with inside of Coach to Coach. They see the handhold that they need to grab to next. And once I show them and they watch what I do, then they implement and they take off to the next level of CEO in their business. Sometimes that is all you need. All you need is a leader who knows the way and can make you believe that it is possible. And I look for leaders in every aspect of my life. If I want to build a business a certain way, I hire a coach that has built the business that way. If I want to start making 3 million and 5 million, I hire people doing 10 to 50 because I know that 3 million is effortless for them. I start looking for those mentors. If I want to be a speaker, I look to the person who's spoken on TEDx stages 50 to 60 times themselves and who's taken hundreds of other people to get there. And it's the same thing that you have to do inside of your business. The way that to stretch yourself, if you have uncertainty behind it, is to work with someone who's stretched that way. Now, going back to the daily income goal, your daily income goal will shape everything. It will shape your daily actions, and it's going to shape the decisions that you make inside of your business. And I want you to think about it right now. Okay? Let's just think for a moment with some real life examples. If you're saying to yourself, currently I'm making $30,000 a month, but I want to start having $30,000 days. That's a fundamentally different business. You can't do that many sales calls, so immediately your sales process has to change. You can't onboard that many people, so immediately your onboard process has to change. You will be stuck in hundreds of hours of client delivery, so immediately your client delivery has to change. See how when we start asking bigger questions, all of a sudden we start expanding in different ways that we had never ever thought before. And that's what happened with me. It's what took me to the next level where I was stuck in that $4K a month, and then all of a sudden, boom, I jumped right into 1.4 million the following year. It took me 5 years to get to 400K years, and then 1 year to get to 1.4 million. That's 3 times that amount. And just by expanding, stretching myself, and setting those day-to-day goals. Now, if you're like, well, what are some of these daily money moves look like? How does it look like changing really, really quickly? Well, if you're saying to yourself, okay, now that I'm making this per day, how do I start doing this like on an individual day-to-day basis? And you're like, okay, if I've got to like make 40 sales today, cool. Well, what would you do differently? How about emailing, calling all of your past clients tomorrow, all of them, and then offering a new program or an offer or re-sign offer? Because sometimes selling the past clients takes less time than finding new ones. If you want to expand and stretch, do things you've never done. How about you post on your stories and your socials and you re-offer a bonus that you had in the past, because we don't need to be reinventing new offers all the time. And there are people who already want the offer and need to hear it over and over again. How about you drop a low-ticket pop-up offer that doesn't take any time at all, like a self-paced course or even a couple of recordings to past masterclasses you've had in the past, bundle it together and offer it to your email list to be able to get more back-end and recurring revenue. How about you challenge yourself to create 3 to 5 pieces of content per day with 1 hour in the next 30 days? Don't you think you'll learn through that time how to create faster and better content? How about you look at your schedule and you say to yourself, well, if I'm going to be making more money, I need to save more time, and then see how you can cut off an hour of work from the rest of your week on every single day and start that tomorrow. Because more time gives you more space to be able to build your business. These are all things that you can do that are extraordinarily simple, but they help you expand. They help you stretch yourself because you have to start challenging yourself in new ways. But they're an effective way to start working towards that next level of stretch. And it all starts with your daily stretch number. That amount that you want to be making daily for you to live the life that you want. And if you're not sure of that number, it means you've been in a stable place for a really long time. You've become accustomed with what you're making month after month, and you're like, I live a comfortable life. Sure, you live a comfortable life, but you know you want more. So get out of the comfortability. Stretch yourself. I encourage you to do one of two things. I encourage you to share that number as number 1 in the comments section of the video to show other coaches and practitioners what expanding looks like. Because for me, I started off saying, I want to go from 3K to 50K months. And then I was like, oh, you know what? That's actually way too small. Again, my mentor challenged me, look, you got to be thinking 30K to 100K months. And I was like, oh, got it. Now I'm thinking completely differently. And then the second thing that I want you to do is, if you know you're ready, hire that coach and work with that mentor to be able to get you to the next step. Remember, I'm accepting 2 applicants and 2 coaches to work with me one-on-one for this month. In less than 6 months, you could be looking back, just like I was, looking back in my car at the amount of money on that check, and you can be saying to yourself, holy cow, my new normal was a stretch for me back then. But now, it's completely easy. You're going to be so thankful that you took that leap to join C2C. So DM me if you're ready, when you're ready, on Insta, or check out the link in the show notes to be able to apply. Either way, you need that daily stretch number. Start applying these stretch tips today, ASAP. Shorten the amount of time that you are making these decisions and act and become the person that is going to be on the other side of that stretch. See you on the next episode. Catch you later.